Man, what a great time. Hey, by the way, week 6 here in National Football League already. Is that right? I mean, we're already into week 6 of the National Football League. How insane is that already, man? I mean, the one thing about the football season, you can always count on it. This bitch goes quick. We're going into week 7 of the college football season already. What a great weekend, too. A lot of things on the table. By the way, we are powered for the next 4 hours by our friends at BetUS. We appreciate them. Please make sure you check out their website. Tonight, a big game, a must game, I think, for the 49ers versus the Seahawks. Who would have thought 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFC are playing tonight, Geno Smith and Brock Purdy? Non-first-round draft choices are some of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. One of them is a reclamation project in Geno Smith, and the other one, you found this guy in the 7th round. Final pick. And you know what he's playing for tonight? Not just the 49ers playoff lives, but he's playing for $60 million tonight. That's what he's playing for. He's playing for $60 million tonight. How you doing? Right? You want to even your record and you want to get a must win in your division and in your conference? Win this game tonight. This is why you make that giant money. This is why people are going to debate who you are. It's why they're debating on who Jalen Hurts is. Hit the like button, guys. All super chats go to the top. Hey, by the way, congratulations to you, Philadelphia Philly fans. Can't wait next April, right, to raise the National League East banner. Wow. Man, I can't wait. Are you going to cheer? Are you happy? Oh, by the way, you're knocked out of the playoffs by the Amazings. Mets end up turning their season around. They were like 5 or 10 games under 500, and now they're going to the NLCS. So hang on here. Are you celebrating your National League East pennant that you're going to raise next April? Hey, man. Some of you sound like M. Reyes. Hey, man, 14-3. National League East pennant. Or not a pennant, but kind of, you know. It's a flag. What a disappointment. Huge disappointment. Of all the disappointments the Phillies have had in the last 5 or 6 years, it's got to be the biggest. You won the East. And the Atlanta Braves had kind of had the pink slip on that whole thing. And you end up winning it, and now you're a disaster. M. Reyes, baby. National League East, Sills. National League East. I know the Mets are going on to the NLCS, but hey, man, no worries. As soon as they got down, I went like this. Thing's over. Thing's over. And sure enough, the Mets at Citi Field end up getting it done. I got a text from Bobby Valentine last night because he watches the show, and Bobby V goes, man, they're going to be angry in Philly. I said, you think? They were pinning their hopes on that team because of the way that the Eagles had been playing. M. Reyes, baby. NL East champions. Where are you going to put that flag? Like next to the World Series stuff and all that? Right? Oh, by the way, dear Lord, please let the Dodgers beat the Padres. Man, I was cheering so mad last night. I wanted the Dodgers to get it done, and they did. They forced a Game 5. Dave Roberts, one of the absolute underrated managers in all of baseball, and he's a dear friend of ours. My wife and I love Dave Roberts. Still lives in San Diego in the offseason. And he was on Bud Black's coaching staff in San Diego when he was the manager, Bud, before he went up to Colorado. Yeah, absolutely, man. We love Dave Roberts. He's a little bit Joe Torre, man, and how he manages the Dodgers. By the way, Andrew Friedman is a great friend of ours. He ran the Rays forever on a shoestring budget, and he was able to build that program up with Andrew Friedman and Andrew Silverman and all them guys. Stu Sternberg and all them guys who built that and bought it from Vince Namoli. Boy, I'll tell you what, too, man. We got to pause here for a second. Hurricane Milton ended up going through the west coast of Florida, and it just wreaked a ton of havoc. Tropicana Field loses its top. The field is like ruined right now. They're going to have a lot of mop up. This thing looks like the Superdome after Katrina, and roads are underwater. There's a lot of people with carnage in their homes. Homes' roofs were ripped off, businesses as well. People have died. So our hearts and prayers go out to everybody in Florida. So as a recovery, I think. By the way, Ron DeSantis, you're a stud. Dude, you're a stud. Now, again, you're in a state that prepares for this because you are in a state that gets hurricanes. So you know how to act through all this. This is not like something that you're surprised Florida gets hurricanes. Hey, welcome to reality. That's what happens. But Ron DeSantis is doing a great job, man. Okay? Well, just an absolutely great job. Keep it up there. By the way, that has nothing to do with politics. That's just doing the right thing. And Governor DeSantis is doing a great job. Okay? Great job. Look at M. Reyes talking shit on him, and he's doing a great job saving lives of all Americans and all Floridians. See, again, he'll politicize it. Saving a dog or saving someone's life has nothing to do with politics, dude. Okay? Okay? Has nothing to do with it. Has nothing. This is about saving lives. So, peace to everybody, man. Hopefully you get out of that there. All right, hit the like button here. Massive game for your Eagles on Sunday. Massive game. By the way, I went back and listened. I had to. I couldn't just leave that hanging there. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Okay? I couldn't just leave that hanging there. By the way, great college football week too as well. Hit the like button. Appreciate all coming aboard here. By the way, the legendary Philly 500 will be with us at 5:30, and we will get his take. We're going to do the takeaways with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. But here, let's do this. So I'm going to take one of the comments out of Jalen Hurts' presser that he did yesterday and ask you what you think this means. Okay? We've seen and been through a lot of adversity. What does that mean? Nick and I have seen and been through a lot of adversity. What exactly is he talking about? You went to a Super Bowl. You were 14-3. You've never missed the playoffs. Let me use an M. Reyes line. So let me get this right. You've never missed the playoffs. You have won an NFC title. You have come within inches of winning a Super Bowl. What exactly is he talking about with adversity? What is he talking about? By the way, this NovaCare Summit was called, and he goes, I'm glad that we could come together and in harmony come away with, we're the leaders of the team. Is this a fucking epiphany after 4 years that just now he's realizing those are the two faces of the franchise and that it needed to have a summit? What exactly does this mean? I mean, help me out here. Where are we going with this? Is this just all talk? Is this all talk? I mean, Hurts sounds like a diva. Well, I'm really glad that we could come together in harmony. And in the bye week, we were able to air things out. What exactly is he talking about? Air what out? I thought these problems were behind them. Get this. You see this right here? I'm going to show you why this comment is stupid. How many people believe that bringing 2023 up is old news? How many people believe that? That bringing up last year, like Zander says, is old news? How many people believe that? Okay? How many people believe last year? It is old news, but we talk about it every day. So does Nick Sirianni. And let's get to it. And I'll start right there. M. Reyes, thank you for the content. Appreciate it. Nick Sirianni says we don't look at just the last 4 games. This is a 4-year process. Shit, I'm not even going back 4 years. He's going back 4 years on how we do things and the things we did over the last 4 years. Fuck, I'm just doing last year. Nick goes over the last 4 years. He said it in his presser. That's the most telling thing. So when Zander brings up 2023 and John McMullen or whomever shuts him down, why the fucking head coach doesn't? He brings it up all the time. He brought it up again today or yesterday. M. Reyes is full of shit. The head coach goes back 4 years. I'm only going back last year. That guy goes back 4 years. So when you guys say bringing up 23 is old news, not to the coach it ain't, not to that organization. You're all full of shit. 23 matters to them. Why wouldn't it matter to you? Why wouldn't it matter to you? The only people that think it doesn't matter is guys and dickheads like M. Reyes. The fucking head coach said yesterday, we go back 4 years and look how we do shit. They go back 4 years. I was like, shit, man, I'm only going back last year. That's exactly right, Charlie. It shows they can't fix it. Dude, get this. Old news. Why you keep bringing up 23? Because the head coach does. Here, let's get into it. Don't ever tell Zander not to talk about 23. Okay? Dude, this has nothing to do with what I'm fucking talking about. Nothing. The head coach doesn't, here, let's get into his words. Because M. Reyes is a fool. And he's part of the misinformation. Here, I didn't think that the Nick Sirianni presser would say anything. He said a lot in it. Okay? Now, wait a minute. Jersey goes, hell, let's go back to 1980. Why? He had nothing to do with 1980. Nothing. He's talking about how he did business in the last 4 years. Here, Devin White, first question out of the box. Really a good guy. What does that have to do with anything? Who cares if he's a good guy? Where in the world does the number one priority start with why you cut a guy with he's a really good guy? Who cares? I don't care if that guy's Satan. Why'd you cut him? They couldn't answer it. He couldn't answer it. Nick was asked a couple weeks ago, and so was Vic Fangio. We're going to need him. We're going to need him sometime this year. What changed? Was it to play it? Then he comes up with some bullshit saying that Trotters practiced well. What? Then that stuff out of that place is it's a house of lies. Jeremiah Trotter showed you in practice. We evaluate our players a lot from practice and not the games. By the way, Nick goes on to say he really likes the linebacker room. How could you like anything off that defense right now and give it kudos and not be more critical of it? Why can't you tell the truth? The linebacking core hasn't played well at all. Zach Bond's been up and down, but the rest of it's been ass. Why can't he say that? Jeremiah Trotter's not that good. Not yet. Where are you getting that from? He's never been on a field to play yet. Man, oh man. What a bunch of liars. How do you take anything that place says and give it face value? I didn't realize how many more lies were going to come out of that guy's face until I watched the press conference. And you know what all of you are doing? Everyone that listens to that thing and covers that team, you're enabling it by not asking harder questions. Dude, how are you evaluating how a player plays off of a guy hitting a donut? They think they're better than they are, and this is their problem Sunday. Take the points in the Browns. Dude, take the points in the Browns. I'm telling you. That team thinks they're better than they are. They're not that good. They think they are. We know better because what we see in a guy going through drills in a practice that you barely practice for 40 minutes. That's what Nick Sirianni said yesterday. I was flabbergasted. I'm like, where are you coming up with that? Not one linebacker outside of Zach Bond has shown any capability of making a play. And you like the linebacker room. How do you know this? Why? Because you saw a guy hitting a bag in a drill. He's a bull-faced liar. But you see, you got to remember, he's being directed to lie like this. Dude, get this. Someone's going to chime into the show now, and they're going to tune in and go, Sileo's, dude, you want to hate on something? Just watch a Nick Sirianni or a Jalen Hurts press conference. It's easy to hate. Self-evaluation, he said. I mean, when he was asked the question, he went into this Kamala Harris answer that I had no idea what he was talking about. How are you going to fix the economy? Well, you know, when I grew up with a single mom and, you know, our neighborhood was diverse and we had really great, you know, character in our family. How are you fixing the freaking economy? I felt like I was listening to like that kind of shit. I was like, Nick, self-evaluation, your defense stinks. Your offense has been up and down. Your quarterback can't carry people other than the stars if they're not on the field. How in the world, where are you getting that? Answer the question. He is such a bad dude. Every time they roll him out in front of the microphone, you start laughing because if not, you'll get pissed. Right, Kathy. Word salad Nick. Hey, Nick, how are you going to fix the defense in the linebacker room? Well, I worked at McDonald's. And, you know, when I was a young kid, and you're like, dude, what are you talking about? I had no idea where he was going. Troutter's now second team. Okay, I'm cool with it. Sure. Okay. You have to be obsessed with getting better. We got some sort of coach's speech out of the guy, too. Got to be obsessed with getting better. I mean, look, Coach Rockney, save it. Save it, Coach Rockney. This guy gives you, he's Harry High School. You know, I want guys, that, you sleep it, you die on it, everything. So wait a minute. So you think you got guys on your team that are asking to play Fortnite and doing podcasts, and you think those guys want to die for it? Is that how you're looking at that? When Avonte Maddox is asking Mike Evans to play computer with him, and Slay is looking to be on a podcast with a cowboy, and you're going to play him in about 4 weeks? Really? That's dying on the vine? What? I don't know what he's talking about. This guy's talking things that don't exist. He's talking about players that are not on that team. I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe you guys do. Maybe you're used to bullshit. Here's the quote. When asked the question about Nick, you go back 4 games. Nobody wanted to bring up 23. Here's Nick's exact quote. That everyone gets mad at me and Zander when we bring up 23. 4 games? No. We not only go back with the 4 games, but we go back 4 years. We go back and take a look at our process, what we did, how we coached, how we got the result. And we go back 4 years and we look at how we've done business when it comes to moving the chains. It's not just 4 games. That's a small sample size, according to him. But according to guys like M. Reyes and shit, last year doesn't matter. That's not the truth. Because the coach and the organization, they go back 4 years. Not just last year. Hell, I was giving them the benefit of not going back to 4 years and giving them last year and right now the first 4 games. No way. They go back further. So when you guys say, stop bringing up 23, well, I'll stop bringing it up when the Eagles stop using 23 and the last 4 years. He brought up the last 4 years. I mean, Krause, I'm not even going there. Says we got to start faster. Well, that would be an epiphany. Nice job, Nick. You're the only team in the league that hasn't scored in the first quarter. Really, you think? Yeah, we're going to go back and look at how we did things. You can't, Nick, because the things that how you started fast was because you ran RPO. You scored fast because teams couldn't stop the RPO. Defenses are not. Do you know why the Eagles got out to a strong start and why the Eagles have always started strong during the Sirianni era? It's because teams are not built to stop the RPO. It's like playing against the Wishbone or Navy. Why do you think Navy upsets Notre Dame or they beat teams they're not supposed to beat? You know why? Teams don't practice against that style. How many teams do you think in the NFL practice against the style of offense the Eagles are trying to execute right now? 32? 28? But when you run that RPO, why do you think Lamar Jackson, besides the great skilled player that he is, why do you think that is such a tough cover? Because nobody runs that offense. It's a one-of. Everybody runs the Joe Burrow offense. Everybody runs the Jordan Love offense. Everyone. Okay? Everyone. But they don't run the style. Do you understand what the Eagles have done to their offense? It's simple. You became like everyone else. It's easy to defend. Zander says this all the time. Am I right, Zander? Lee caught up with him. No. You went with what the rest of the league is doing. That's how they caught you. With a quarterback that's not capable of running a pro-style offense. The league didn't catch you. The league did not catch up to Jalen Hurts. The Eagles sabotaged what he did. You leveled the playing field. Why do you think Lamar Jackson is a tough cover? Like I said, besides of the great skill, what you've done is become like the rest of the teams. It's easy to defend Hurts. One, he's not a pro-style quarterback. And secondly, the reason that the INTs and the turnovers have come at a bigger clip is because he's doing shit he's not skilled at doing. Case closed. Case closed. And by the way, these are facts. This is not an opinion. I mean, this is not. Get this. Once again, Jalen Hurts is so below average right now as a quarterback. There are the lower end guys playing better. The two quarterbacks tonight are superior to him. You want to hear something? How many people think Aaron Rodgers has played poorly for the Jets? In the last 22 games, he's got 33 touchdown passes and 16 picks. Mahomes has 33 touchdowns and 20 picks. And right now, Aaron Rodgers is playing the worst quarterback of his life. And he's got the same numbers as Mahomes. He's got more touchdowns than Hurts. He's actually played better than Jalen. And he's not playing anywhere near that. I mean, think about it. I mean, Jalen Hurts is so far from elite. I mean, it's mind-numbing. Geno Smith is better. I see people in there saying, Hurts has no ceiling. It's word salad. Nick says that during the bye, there's so much more room to grow. Okay. He said, and someone asked the question about communicating between the owner. Remember what we brought up? Got to have the owner, GM, quarterback, and the coach for you to be a successful championship team. I don't think you have any of it. I think you got a really good owner. I think you've got a meddling GM who can't draft. I think your quarterback is below average. And I think your head coach is below average. That's why you'll never be a championship team. John McMullen, I heard the question he asked about Robert Saleh. John did it very politically and nice. Hey, with Robert Saleh being fired, John basically was hinting around about mortality of his job. And Nick is right to say it this way. You worry about things you can't control. It's just, as Nick Saban would say, it's just poison. He's right. That's where he's right. Can't worry about that shit. And by the way, one of the reasons why you don't worry about it, he's got another year on his contract at $8 million. So if you were to fire him, you owe him $16 million. 8 this year, 8 next year. I mean, at the end of the day here, hey, by the way, when's the last year of Nick Sirianni's contract? Next year? There's no way they extend him, do they? Are you going to let Nick go in? Are you going to extend him this offseason? He's got one more year next year. He's going into a final year of his contract next year. Are you extending him in the offseason? If you're Howie Roseman and you're the owner, are you extending him? Okay? Are you extending him? He's been to playoffs 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row, whatever it is. Got a winning record. Are you extending him in the offseason? Is that By the way, let's do it this way. Is that a priority? Will they let Nick coach out like Mike McCarthy this year and go into his final year? So these next 13 games are going to determine that. Do you agree? Right? These next 13 games. Because here's what you have going on here. You got Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, and you got a head coach going into the final year of his contract. Who's a priority? Jalen Hurts and his coordinator, or Nick Sirianni and his final year of his contract? What's a priority? That's on the horizon now for the Eagles. These next 13 games, Nick Sirianni's coaching for his extension. Hit the like button. Am I wrong? Let's do this. As of October 10th, are you extending him in the offseason? I say no. And if anything, I'm giving the job to Kellen. Right? So Nick Sirianni right now, you're going to let him coach into his final season with no contract. Okay. I mean, Eagle fan goes, I don't want Moore as head coach. Well, if a new head coach comes in, he's going to be a play calling head coach. Jalen will have another coordinator. Dude, I'll say it one more time to you. Jalen Hurts will have a new coordinator in 2025. There's no getting around it. He may have a new head coach and a new coordinator in 25. That just shows you the inability of the Eagles to develop coaches. By the way, not only are you horrible at developing defensive coaches, you can't develop, or defensive players, you can't develop coaches. What coach have you developed? Jeff Stoutland? Jeff Stoutland was already a great coach. He was already considered one of the premier coaches in the NFL and at the college level. And by the way, Nick Saban developed him. Jeff Stoutland is a Nick Saban guy. And he's also a Ed Ogeron guy. Are you really going to extend him? Getting A.J. Brown back is going to help. Really, what an epiphany. Let's get to Jalen Hurts here. He's even more classic. By the way, I'm sick of his face too. And the way he talks. Guy couldn't even answer Nick Sirianni, Devin White's whole thing. Here's Hurts. Bye week. Time to get away and work on some things. Earth-shattering. He says this was one of the most efficient bye weeks he's had as a professional. They asked him why. He couldn't answer it. Or maybe he didn't want to, which is smart. You don't have to give those creeps anything. You don't have to say anything to them, guys. You owe them nothing. Okay? You really do. You owe them nothing. That's why Rodgers toys with the media. It's funny. I love it. Conspiracy theory. He's a politician. They're all pissed off at him, and he goes on Pat McAfee. The only reason that Colin Cowherd goes knee deep and ass deep into Aaron Rodgers is because of his political beliefs and because he goes on the Pat McAfee show. And he goes on the same time that Colin's on. So what he does is he attacks him, knowing little that he promotes McAfee's show even more. And he knows that. But he wants a little bit of McAfee. You understand? It got nothing to do with Rodgers. It's got everything to do with the viewership of McAfee. That's what content's about. It's not really who's involved. It's who watches it. It has nothing to do with really Aaron and his takes or how he's playing. How many people are watching that segment with Aaron Rodgers? Is the only like one of the reasons why I love Philly 500 is because a lot of people watch him. By the way, more people watch him than some journalists and many of the journalists with the Inquirer. Do you understand that? He's good and he's got a great following. Well, that's up my alley. I'm not putting some stuff on no one cares about. I don't care who he writes for. He could write from the Washington Post. He could write for the Wall Street Journal. I don't care. Who's watching you and how many? Are you relevant? That's all I care about. That's why I don't put stiffs on. I'd rather do a 4-hour show by myself than put some stiff on that I've never heard of. I mean, it's not working. I've never done that in my 32 years. Hey, let me put a guy from the Inquirer on that no one knows. Marcus Hayes is the legend. He said something. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. We appreciate it. By the way, all super chats go to the top. So here's Jalen Hurts. Had to go with what we know. I mean, I don't know. I have to play clean football. That I agree with. Have to trust everyone that's out there. Well, you know? Does Jalen have a problem when the top flight guys aren't out there? He don't trust the rest of the players that come in relief? You know what that's called? That's called not doing your job. The great quarterbacks don't care who's playing Y and Z. And it just so happens if you have A.J. Brown or you have Devontae Smith, so Jalen's ability and his focus diminishes, and his ability to read the defenses and understand his own offense diminishes because he doesn't have the right personnel that he thinks he can move the chains with because he doesn't trust them. There's part of your problem. He doesn't believe the entire roster. He believes in AJ and Devontae. Targets dictate that. Targets dictate that. Okay? The targets dictate that. All right? Get this. He just confirmed what I've been saying for 2 days. He's fine with the top receivers winning one-on-ones. Can't read other coverages. I mean, he said that. He did. Slay, hey, Slagger, I know. I heard it too. This guy has no confidence in anybody else other than Devontae Smith and AJ, and his play shows it. When they're not out there, the passing game goes to dick, and that's on him, not elevating the other guys and making the other guys step up and do their job. Hey, dude, you can't wave a white flag if you don't have your favorite toys out there with you. That's what Hurts is doing. He's waving a white flag. He said it in his presser. Hey, do you think that a lot to do with, and even Nick confirmed it, do you think a lot of the offense has a lot to do with the personnel that's out there? And he goes, of course it does. Okay, but does that mean that the quarterback then turns around and says, hey, man, it's great to get familiar faces back in the huddle, and it's good to see those guys out there. You have more of a confidence level with those guys being out there than you do with people that you really haven't played with. And I went like this. Why are you saying that publicly? That you have no confidence in Paris Campbell and you have no confidence in the rest of these guys. That's unbecoming. By the way, this guy over here, there's a couple guys in there, says that I'm obsessed with bashing Hurts. I'm using his own words against him. It's very easy. Dude, it's easy. These are not my words. These are not my words. I'm not hey, I'm just echoing what he said at a press conference. Why are you mad with what Hurts said? Why are you mad when the coach says that we go back 4 years when I've been saying I'm going only back a year? Stop bringing up 23. The coach is bringing up 21. You contradict yourselves because you don't know what you're talking about. You think you do and you think I don't. The coaches and the players echo everything I say, including Vic. They echo everything I say. Everything I say. The shit you're saying is what you hear from the media, which is completely wrong. You guys all first thought that Nick made all the decisions. He never at any time in his entire coaching career has made a decision that impacted that football team, except those shitty analytic calls at the end of games. He hasn't had one person. How many people in here think that Nick Sirianni's had one personnel decision? You know what? I'll tell you where I think he had one. Zach Pascal. Because he got him from Indianapolis. Zach Pascal, I think, is the only guy he's ever had any kind of influence on when it came to getting personnel. Okay? Other than that, he's had no say in anything. But you guys all thought it. Stupidly. Get this. Hurts was asked about hard coaching. He says it's a different style. Now, look, you don't have to be an asshole to somebody to coach somebody hard. You could just be critical of the mistakes that they make and work on the mistakes that they make. You know the one thing that the Eagles do coaching-wise that's a fundamental flaw in my eyes on how they coach Hurts? They're coaching all the things he can't do, which is right. But they don't do the things that he does great. Did you hear what I just said? They're coaching him in all the things that he does poorly. And they don't use any of the things that he does great. I don't think Hurts is a coach killer. I think the Eagles are player killers and quarterback killers. I think they kill every quarterback they have in there. Killed Wentz, killing Hurts. Stupid decision on Foles. What quarterback decision have they had in the last 8 years that you thought was a good one? Wentz, Foles, Hurts, and how they've handled their careers. In all those careers, the only thing they did with Hurts that was different was give him more talent and paid him more. They haven't developed him. It's the same shit. Here's Jalen talking about the new offense. He said this. You know, the new offense with Kellen Moore the first 4 weeks was used to, that, and also the in and out of the personnel made it a little bit more difficult to move the sticks and be consistent because of the players that were coming in and out and the new offense. And you guys thought this shit was going to be resolved 4 months. This is unbelievable. Get here. Kellen's new offense and a lack of the personnel was different in the first 4 weeks. I thought this guy had no turnovers in camp, ESP. I thought he had the greatest camp of his entire life. What happened? You started playing real football. That's what happened. Instead of going on that bullshit that Nick Sirianni tells you that they evaluate all their players off of practice. Jalen Hurts had the greatest camp, right? We were told. Had the greatest camp since he's been an Eagle. It hasn't reflected his play. What happened? Someone answer that to me before I read Daniel. Daniel, thank you. I was told, and we were all told, that Hurts has had the greatest camp since he's been the starting quarterback. Zander based his numbers off of what he heard and all the great people saying about how well he looked in practice. The ball never hit the ground. He threw one pick in 2.5 months or a month and a half of training camp. All the two-a-days. That hasn't reflected his play so far. Philly used to be considered a place that could develop quarterbacks. The more power Howie has gotten, the worse the quarterbacks have become. Sirianni stinks. Thank you, Daniel. All super chats go to the top. Hurts had the greatest camp because he was going against our defense. But Daniel, don't look at it like that. Look at it like Sirianni said they evaluate players off that same fundamental mentality that you're questioning now. Okay? They're evaluating off of that metric. Guy running bags, guy running tires, guy tackling. Now they're tackling people. I don't know. It looks so high schoolish. Dude, that's not a pro-run organization by the coaching staff. You don't have professional coaches in there right now because there's too much from the upstairs people in dictating what players play and what players don't play. Devin White, like you said, never had a chance to make the team. He never had a chance to make the team because of his contract. Not that he was going to be great. And by the way, let me ask you this. There was a great question asked about the depth of the linebacking core. You know what Nick said? I really like the young guys we have now. Based on what, Nick? Based on what? Get this. Ask yourself why the follow-up question from a reporter wasn't, Nick, you say you like the linebacking core. Based on what? Your linebackers get blown off the ball. They don't tackle good. You're one of the worst tackling teams in the league. Where are you basing that off of? That's right. Sirianni was even praising Avonte Maddox, who's been atrocious. Where in the world are you gaining this from? Why are you lying to the fans, media, and everyone else? Dude, I didn't really believe the press conferences that I heard from both bullshit artist Jalen Hurts and bullshit artist number 2, Nick Sirianni. I thought they were just going to be word salads like, but they're lying to you, telling you things are okay. I mean, Zander's right. Nick Sirianni's a serial liar. Talking about finding an identity. What identity? Here. We two leaders of the team. We have to work in harmony. Nick and I. And I'm glad we came to the conclusion that we were able to come together in harmony. We had great communication. I mean, so this summit, that just happened? Why? What do you think was so wrong that you needed to have some sort of like pseudo summit at NovaCare with your head coach to straighten what out? Like some of you in here, you don't think there's a problem. Listen to how the organization talks. They don't talk like champions. It's all over the joint. Dude, I'm sorry. I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I don't see leadership. I don't see players getting better. I can't wait for Sunday. There's not a chance in hell they're going to play great. You know why? You're worried about other things. Fortnights, podcasting, summits. Dude, the Eagles didn't need a summit between the head coach and the quarterback. They needed to be out on the field practicing their mistakes. Having some hardcore conversations about what's right and wrong and working not and working what is. That's what you needed to have. You needed to have real life sense of urgency shit. Not this crazy ass like Big Brother house. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Big Brother. It's like Big Brother. I mean, honest to God, what an absolute unprofessional football team you have, led by an unprofessional head coach. Completely. Dude, the one thing at least the Browns have going into this thing, you have Kevin Stefanski and you have Jim Schwartz going into this thing. You may have the wrong quarterback, and probably do, but you don't have the wrong leadership. Kevin Stefanski, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he get the Browns to the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco? Okay? Look at this here. I'm feeling like Jalen Hurts going to cook this weekend. It's the worst team in the league, according to Zander. They have no good players. Browns are playing horrible. They can't win any games. And you'll blow them out by 20. Yeah, you should. Yes, sir, baby. Hey, I'm trying to figure out here. Hey, Howie, baby. Howie Vision. They couldn't even answer. Why couldn't you answer? Why couldn't Nick Sirianni just say this about Devin White? He wasn't good enough. But you see, you got to go back and cover the lie, because the lie that you lied about and the lie that you lied. And then you got to tell me how much you like him. What does that have to do with making a team or an impact on a football team? Remember that Denzel Washington movie, Like You? I don't have to like you. I got to do right by my team. Liking you ain't has anything to do with this. Like you. That's totally irrelevant whether I like you. It has nothing to do with it. How simple is this one from Jonathan Cook? Hey, man, stop the drama. Go play some ball. Okay. Hey, Jonathan. Jonathan, let's have a fantasy here for a second. How do you think Mike Tomlin would address the media? Can I do a Mike Tomlin? using Nick Sirianni's answers. This is actually going to be funny. I'm gonna answer the way I think Mike Tomlin would have answered all the questions that Sirianni was asked. The best thing to happen is if the Eagles lose and the head coach gets canned and we get some real coaches in here. Well, that won't be till the end of the year. Let me answer how I think Mike Tomlin would answer these questions. Let's fantasize, my friend. Okay? Mike, why didn't Devin White? What led into his being released? Player wasn't good enough. Plain and simple. This is accountability league. And, we brought him in, gave him an opportunity. We didn't feel that he was in the right position to help our football team. And so this is what we do. There's a standard set here in Pittsburgh. And at that linebacker position where we've had James Harrison, we've had Joey Porter Jr., we've had Jack Ham, Andy Russell, and Jack Lambert. There's a standard that's set here in Pittsburgh to play linebacker. And he didn't fulfill that. We wish him well. Am I wrong? Here's the second one. What do you make of your linebacker room? Long way to go. They're young, and the first 4 weeks have been up and down. Nakobe Dean has to pick his game up. I'm answering how I think Mike Tomlin would answer these Nick Sirianni lob balls. Dude, it's like listening to Howard Stern do an interview with the VP. Self-evaluation. Coach, did you have a chance in the bye? We always self-evaluate our coaches and our play and our team. That's what we do here. Okay? We're not playing good enough ball. We are not playing championship ball. That's the standard in Pittsburgh. Mike, what about, you and how you looked at everything? All I care about is this football team playing and getting better, and everybody on the football team getting better. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. Not this obsessive, like coach word salad Nick gave you. I was like, shut up. Then he goes into the famous one. 4 games last 4 years. 4 games last 4 years. Okay? How we do things here in Pittsburgh, we go back 60 years because we've only had 3 head coaches. In 60 years. I don't have to explain to you what we do here. You see it in our results. Coaches like Tomlin don't have to tell you how they look at things. Mike Tomlin will tell you flat out. They've had 3 coaches in 60 years in Pittsburgh. He don't owe you anything. You know why? Because the results speak to themselves. Pittsburgh may not have the best team. They may not have the best quarterback. But I think what they got is the head coach and the owner and the GM. They always get that right in Pittsburgh. And that's why they're always hanging around the rim. What gets them across the finish line is when they have a quarterback, Roethlisberger, Bradshaw. They don't have that. A lot of teams, get this, you know how many teams go through that not having the right quarterback and lose? Dude, if you think that the Philadelphia Eagles are a more successful program than the Steelers, you're out of your freaking minds. The Steelers are the gold standard in how you run a franchise. Like I said, they may not have the right quarterback, but they don't. And they don't. They're winning games with a wildcat quarterback. That's how good that guy is. Here's a beautiful way that he would have answered that Robert Saleh question that John McMullen asked him. Do you remember what happened a year ago or whatever it was? Someone asked him about a college job like Notre Dame. Remember how pissed off he got? Mike Tomlin goes, nobody asks a question of a head football coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your name's being brought up for the Notre Dame job. You know what he was doing? He was validating the Steeler job by saying this: Notre Dame versus the Pittsburgh Steeler job? Are you insane? Why would you ask Mike Tomlin that question? I thought it was a tad racist. Mike Tomlin, Steelers? Hoss, the Cowboy job's not a better job than the Steeler job. The Jets job's a joke. Who would think the Jets are a good job? Why? Because they're in New York? Same story for a decade-plus organization. Want to strike gold. Can't build a consistent winner, develop players on both sides of the ball. Don't pick real coaches. Our fans are biased to the truth, Sills. Thank you, Hades. I appreciate that. All super chats go to the top. Look at this guy here. Notre Dame Natty champs. Do you understand in the last 70 years or last 64 years, Notre Dame has won 2 national titles, 1973 and 1988. They haven't been in contention for a national title in over 37 years. Notre Dame will never win a national title ever again. They're a blown up version of Stanford. Why do you think Brian Kelly left Notre Dame? Because LSU gave him a better chance to win a national title and pay him more. Brian Kelly used Notre Dame as a stepping stone. Notre Dame's a stepping stone job. Coaches at Notre Dame. Says, why do you think about a possible Slay trade? I'm going to get to that. I'm cool with any return. Give me a bologna sandwich. Who cares? I'll get to that here in a second. Notre Dame's never going to win. They don't redshirt. They pay a little bit on nil. Notre Dame? Dude, the Duke quarterback they got sucks. Nobody goes to Notre Dame. Why? Because they believe in their diploma more. When you're a college player, you don't believe in diplomas. You want a degree that folds in your wallet. Most people that go to Notre Dame become politicians, doctors, and lawyers, not football players. That's not a program you go to become a pro. Do they get good players? Yes. Do they get good teams? No. Notre Dame hasn't had a good team in decades. They get good players. Yes. Get this. Barb asked a great question. Is that a bad thing? Yeah. When your number one objective is to make it to the NFL. When you go to Yale and Harvard and Notre Dame and Stanford, Barb, you're going there for other reasons. You're going there because most of the time, less than 1% make it to the NFL. You're going for a great degree that gets you in the door at Johnson & Johnson or gets you into Sara Lee or gets you into some corporate company. Hathaway, Bircher, and all that. All those kind of companies. Fortune 500 companies. Because most of the time, you're not going to make it to the pros. So you got a hell of a degree. When you go to Alabama and you're a football player, you think you're actually trying to be a lawyer? Get this. Once again, MRA's not knowing the landscape. Notre Dame was back in the day when the 85-man scholarship was not intact. When the NCAA came in and made the 85-man scholarship, all those schools like Notre Dame and Oklahoma and Ohio State and Nebraska and all these guys, you couldn't sign 200 players anymore. And then with the requirements that Notre Dame kept intact, when they recruit 20 players at Notre Dame, you know how many they get? 5. When Alabama recruits 20, they get all 20. Like I said, and Ray, it's just stupid. He can't hear me. Notre Dame gets good players. You just don't have good teams. This guy's a dummy, man. Notre Dame hasn't had a decent team. They get beat by Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois beats them. At Notre Dame. Northern Illinois goes into South Bend and beats them. Okay? Dude, Vanderbilt plays in the Southeastern. Here, let me give it to you a little bit better on Vanderbilt. Hey, Zander, am I right when I say that? If Vanderbilt played in the Big Ten or Big 12, they'd win it. They play in the Southeastern Conference. They play in the SEC. You're not playing Kansas and them other shitty schools in the Big 12. You're playing Kentucky, Tennessee, A&M, Alabama, Georgia in consecutive weeks. You're not playing Northwestern, Iowa, Indiana, Rutgers, and shitty programs. Holy cow. Word Salad Nick was really working hard, brother. Right? Get this. Zach Martin is a CPA, according to Dan Sileo. Once again, too, because I know you're a Cowboy fan, so that means that you usually have cow chips in your fucking brain, and you're not listening. I said Notre Dame gets good players. They don't have good teams. What good team did Zach Martin play on? I must have missed that one at Notre Dame. Can you help me? I must have missed that one. What great team does Zach Martin play at Notre Dame? When has Notre Dame had a good team in 20 years? Help me out on that. Help me out on Keith Hamilton playing on a great team. Hook me up in this. I can't remember. How come every time when they play an SEC team, they get rolled? Okay? Hey, by the way, I remember the Catholics packing the convicts. Hey, that was the greatest victory of your life after we had annihilated you. And you know the coolest thing of my career? Beating Notre Dame and those guys up there, or at our place, actually, 58-7. The worst ass beating Notre Dame has ever had was at my hands. You're welcome. Then you thought you were going to come down and beat us the following time, and we beat you 20-0. So, like, in 2 times we played them, Zander, we beat them 71-7. How you doing? Mess with my Canes. Notre Dame was like a filet mignon, cooked well with fava beans. Yeah. You kicking that Catholic ass. How you doing? Served with a Chianti and a little fava beans. Oh man, how you doing? A fine Chianti. Hit the like button. This is too much fun here. Yeah, hey, how come Nikki Dude, I'm telling you, Nick's a Frenchman. He's no Italian. He can't be. That guy cannot be Italian. He can't be Italian. There's no way. He's a Frenchman. Did you play with The Rock? No, he was after me. He was after me. But he's made an appearance here on the JAKIB, of course, because he idolizes Big Sills. That's a fact, by the way. Hey, look at there. Zani. This guy's a paisan, as far as I'm concerned. Look at this guy. Lou Holtz. I almost played for that guy, but not at Notre Dame. At Minnesota, believe it or not, he recruited me. I took a trip, too. I actually liked my trip to Minnesota. It was a legendary program. They had won many national titles in the past. They had great players to come out of there. I was going to go to Iowa or Minnesota or a couple other places because I was recruited to go wrestle for Dan Gable. I almost wrestled for Dan Gable. Every time Dan's in town, my family and I go see him. I love Dan Gable. I was going to wrestle heavyweight for him. And, yeah, here. I love showing that picture. Coach Gable, they told me I could wrestle and play football at Iowa. Of course, Dan Gable's won, I think, like 13 or 14 national championships. In wrestling and all those Big Ten titles. And I had to introduce my daughter to him. Dan Gable, daughter. And every time he's in town, there's big sales with Dan Gable. Guy that recruited me. I was going to play football for Hayden Fry and wrestle for him. He gave us back stage passes. He won an Olympic gold medal. And he's considered one of the greatest Olympians in American history. And he recruited me heavily to go wrestle at Iowa. So, hey, come on now. Come on now here. Chuck, who's Dan Gable? You don't know, Barb, who Dan Gable is? I believe he was 121 in wrestling. Something like that. One of the absolute greatest American. He was a legend. And Hayden Fry goes, you can come play at Iowa. They were going to the Rose Bowls at times. Okay? Okay? Notre Dame. I told you, man. Big Sills story. Jerry Fouts recruiting Big Sills to go to Notre Dame. Where are the chicks? They're across the street at St. Mary's. What? Yeah, they're across the street at St. Mary's. There's no women at Notre Dame? It wasn't co-ed yet. Come again? No chicks, no Big Sills. I don't go to school with dudes. I don't go to bars with dudes. And I don't go to bars with dudes. And I'm surely not going to college with no chicks. That ain't happening. He goes, where are you going next on your recruiting trip? I go, Miami. Miami. I go, where are the chicks? They're across the street at St. Mary's. What? There's no women at Notre Dame? No. Not happening. Who do you think I want to be on? Who do you think I'm trying to join the Navy? I'm going to go on a boat? Like joining the Navy. I got a hammock. Who's sitting next to me? Chip. Not happening. Not happening. Hey, Cal Sanderson's a really phenomenal coach at Penn State. Know him well. Done a great job. He's probably now the greatest American collegiate wrestler of all time. Cal Sanderson, absolutely. He was a legend at Penn State. I don't think he was ever beaten. So if you're going to, he's probably taking the mantle from Dan Gable. Okay. Doesn't South Florida have hey, Ultra Cowboy's getting upset because he's going on a 4-game losing streak. How you doing? Going on a 4-game losing streak. Did you hear that clown yesterday, Mark Holmes? Yeah, we're going to beat Washington. We're going to beat. I'm like, you ain't beating shit, guy. You lose 4 in a row. Get back to my topic here. Dude, Zander goes yesterday to me. He's like, hey, Sills, did you hear? We're going to go over these with Zander here too a little bit. So coming out of the bye, what are your expectations Sunday? What are your expectations Sunday after listening to those two dudes? Now that they're kumbaya and they're in harmony and they got like those Taylor Swift love bracelets that they both are wearing now. You see them, they glow in the dark too. Nick Sirianni's got one that says Jalen, and Jalen's wearing one that says Nick. Yeah, Jalen's got he's got a Taylor Swift bracelet on that says Nick. And Nick's got one that says Hurts. I mean, it's like a love thing going on now. I wonder who put that together. Let me guess. The head of Novacare or the head of NATO, Howard Roseman of Roseman and Associates. I think it's a good thing if you two guys, that was suggested. I think it's a good thing that you two get together. Hey, Barb, yeah. Then they connected with the friendship bracelets like this, So every time they walk off the field together, they're going to be able to shoot this to each other. This is a clown show, and I'm going to turn it into one. You better not lose. Nick. What did you think of the Dodgers last night? Fantastic. Beat those scumbag Padres. Absolutely. Jalen probably charge extra money to wear that dumb shit. Jalen and Nick have the Wonder Twin rings. They activated it. Yeah. Like the Legion of Boom. They're like the superheroes now. Sales hating on America's greatest uniform. Fuck Notre Dame. I don't give a shit what she did there. And if she went to Florida, same thing. Notre Dame? No, thank you. I'll kick their ass every day. By the way, my friend Chuck, I'm not talking about their school. I'm not talking about the folks there. I'm talking about their football program. That's all I know. That's all I know. I'm not talking about your school. Of course it's a great school. You kidding me? Ed DeBartolo, my friend, went there. Sills, why do you hate the Gators so much? Well, here, I'll hook you up because it's got a little bit of Notre Dame in them. The Gators think they're better than everyone in the state of Florida. They think every kid who's born in the state of Florida wants to be a Gator. They think that their shit doesn't stink, that the University of Miami is a bunch of convicts and gangsters. And when we kick their ass, steal their women, eat their food, take a dump in their place, it's one of the greatest excitements of all time. I can't tell you one of the greatest excitements of all time is kicking their ass up there and ending a 26-game win streak up there. Yeah, it was great. And then telling them all to kiss my ass is wonderful. And then having 11 sacks and putting their quarterback and giving him an appendix problem, Kerwin Bell, I put him in the hospital. Great. I put Kerwin Bell in a hospital. Great. You're welcome. It's all good. Hey, Chuck, I'm not talking about the school, dude. That's great. Your kid did that too. It's awesome. You know that, Chuck. I'm not doing anything like that. It's a great education that your daughter got. I'm only talking stupid sports here. Okay. Yeah, I heard started the press conference like him and Nick are good. Definitely planned. Right. It was planned. Hey, Nate, that was my problem with the whole thing. It looked contrived. It looked phony. Okay. Get this. Here's one thing this guy will never get because he's a stupid Cowboy fan and has no brains. Miami didn't walk off the plane and lose. They may have lost a battle, but we didn't lose the war. It's the most recognized team in American sports history. The team that walked. No one remembers the Penn State team. They remember us. That's why Sports Illustrated named us the most hated team in American sports history. You know why? We're memorable. Do you know what Penn State is? Turds. We're memorable. 37 years. Many books and TV shows. To you, the number one 30 for 30. It's because of who we were. I mean, there's no program that's ever had more 30 for 30s or more memorable than the shit we did. Can you imagine if we had social media when we were around? We would have all been locked up and put in prison. I mean, yeah, the only thing I had a problem with Penn State, you were calling us convicts. No, what was the thing they were saying? Good versus evil. And you had Jerry Sandusky on the line molesting children. Look how that worked out. Paterno has no legacy. They tried to erase every single bit of it. And Sandusky's in jail for molesting children. Who were the bad guys? Yes. And so is my aunt. Man, it says, I can't imagine how many fights you got into for shit talking. Let me show. Hey, Cosmo. You know what's really great? See, just so you know that, you go like this. How many fights you got into? Let me show you this. Okay. This is years ago. This is years ago. And this is just going to show you the kind of the kind of Jerome did the same stuff. Did the same stuff. I gotta open. I love this quote. It was in every newspaper in the country. I gotta find this, man. This is aggravating. Ugh, forget it. I'll find it. Yeah, dude, we talk shit. Revolutionaries. Still some modern day Lou Albano. Bro, I've been doing this shit since I was 18 years old. I talked shit in high school at my Catholic high school, too. What are you talking about? Been doing it since then. People have been writing stories about me negative my entire life. My entire life, they've been writing shit like this about me. What do you think? Some of the people that write newspaper articles about me today, you think that bugs me? Absolutely not. It used to bug me back in the day. Now it doesn't. Doesn't. See here. By the way, let's get to the Slay trade. So it's being reported now that Howie Roseman is shopping Darius Slay, getting ready prior to the trading deadline. I think it's a prime time to trade him. Isaiah Rodgers and Quinyon Mitchell can hold it down. You're playing center field. Slay's not giving you great play. You got to come up with someone that would be able to pick up the contract. Okay? You've got to come up with someone that would pick up that money, or at least a percentage of it. Okay? I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at a text that I got from a guy. What would be the price that Howie would get back in the return? It would be a fifth or fourth rounder that he would get for him. You're not looking at high. You're not going to be looking at a high return on anything. You're looking at getting him off the books here. And you're looking at getting other players and younger players playing in the secondary now. Okay? Keith goes, not worth it. Keith, why not? Why not? What's Slay giving you now? Darius Slay's not a good player anymore. He's a fair player. And he's overpriced. By the way, if you didn't want to pay Devin White the $3.5 million, why would you pay an overpriced corner and an aged corner 11.2? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Darius Slay is not worth the money you're spending. You got to remember, this has got to, hey, here, Bryce Huff, 17-4. Completely the disaster is not, you're not getting production, but he's overpaid. Look at how many overpaid free agents you have this year, money-wise alone. And watch this. Get this. Think about this. Every single free agent that you paid for is not playing up to any ability. And on top of that, you know what else? Way overpaid. Let's look at it. Bradbury's still on your roster. He's a $9 million guy. He hasn't played a down. There's $9 million. You got Huff at 14.8. There's $24 million. Slay's making 11. That's 35. And you've got Gardner Johnson. That's $42 million on defense of contracts that have failed. That's money poorly spent. And it's all on one side of the ball. Now, you turn around and you go like this. Look at the contract extension for AJ. Is it worth it? Yeah, because the guy produces for you. The contract with Devontae is not going to kill you. Why? You're not going to get hammered for the next 3 years. The contract that you have for Barkley's lived up to it. Hey, paying Barkley $8 million, that's a steal. Barkley, remember when Barkley wanted $14 million? He was right. He wanted $14 million from the Giants, remember? Giants said no. Well, he is a $14 million back. He is. But here's another one. Hurts $50 million. How many people in here think Hurts is playing $50 million worth of football since he's signed that contract? Not counting M. Reyes. How many people in here think that guy's worth $50 million? You could make the argument Dak is the only thing keeping the Cowboys afloat. CJ isn't a safety. CJ isn't a player. M. Perez thinks that Jalen Hurts is playing $50 million football when tonight 2 quarterbacks, one making $890,000 and the other one making $25 million, have outplayed him significantly since the start of the 23 season. But those two dicks think that Hurts has outplayed him. Okay. By the way, the fact that the reason Hurts hasn't lived up to the contract is because why? You got a $200 million offense. Word salad Nick. You imagine Mike Tomlin being asked questions? Bob Lang would pull his hair out. Hey, why didn't Devin make the team? Hey, I really like the guy. You know, we had dinner. We went out and got Italian ice together. We went down to South Philly and we had a couple pieces of pizza. I kind of broke the news to him, you know. I sent his wife flowers and, you know, I was like, you ever see Moneyball when that guy goes like this? Billy Bean just goes like this to the guy. Don't tell him any of that. Ed Wade, the general manager of the Phillies, is going to be in contact with you. Our travel agent will have all the details. Philly's a great place. Good luck to you. This guy can't do that. You know, I love, you know, kumbaya. I mean, fuck. And then, hey, listening to Hurts too. I can't wait to get my boy Zander in here because, by the way, Philly 500 too. Folks, you ever hear the summit at Yalta? This was something back in the day when, like, President Roosevelt and they had Stalin and all the leaders like Churchill, they all met and had a powwow. They all talked about how they were going to carve up Germany and how they were going to fix Europe. So Nick Sirianni and I think John McMullen said it on Birds 365 today. There was like a puff of smoke when the new pope is named. And the thing came out and the summit was revealed that they had harmony and we had, you know, everything was like, you know, together. And when Zander was listening to that, man, you should have seen his face. He looked like a proud cardinal there in Rome. He just did. He was like, everything's better. I'm back to 14-3. Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, who is the co-host of First 365, Big Z, Zander Krause. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother? What's up, everybody in the chat? Let's get this W on Sunday, Big Sills. Wait, yeah. Sills, you're telling me you didn't buy the efficient bye week?
You told me not to listen to it. You told me not to. And I was like this. I was like, I could not listen to it.
Listen, I mean, I don't expect these dudes to go up there and start bashing on everybody, but I'm so done with the fucking word salads, dude. I'm done with the t-shirt slogans and, you know, me and Nick in harmony and efficiency. Just go out and play. Like somebody already put it in the chat. Just go play football, man. So that's where I'm watching. I think Jalen will have a good week this week, but I don't know. I was looking at that Browns defense. They got a good defense. I mean, they got some injuries right now, and they're playing like middle of the pack, but that's with the injuries. I saw a rating today. I forget where it came from, either NFL.com or I don't know if it was PFF or where it was, but Browns are rated right up at the top of the league in defense. So if they have everybody playing this week, it could be a tough test. So we'll see.
And they got a good front four, too. I mean, they do. But here's something that Nick said that I thought was significant, that you keep bringing up, that John gets upset when you bring it up. You go like this. Hey, 2023, you know, John, I'm seeing the same stuff. And so Nick yesterday comes out and says, we don't just look at the 4 games. We go back 4 years. So Zander, the organization goes back and evaluates what they've done differently or how they do business. I'm not even going back 4 years. I'm just going back to 23.
Well, Nick goes back 4 years because he has a Super Bowl appearance in there. So he likes to use it as it is.
Oh, so it smooths it over by not just saying you go back to 23. So others give him the benefit of the doubt because they won an NFC title. Okay.
Look, these are the reactions when I say Jalen's going to have a good week.
Good
Eagles
luck.
fans, we got it. Look, I know we're tough on the dude. We need him, man. We need the guy to play good because our team is not going anywhere if he doesn't step up. So, shit, from my lips to God's ears, Jalen Hurts is going to have a big week at the
How,
link, Big Sills. Wait,
how
Sills, let me
come?
just say this, though. I mean, you are getting A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson back. Even if
So
Jalen doesn't improve this week, the team is going to improve. The offense is going to improve. The one thing I think he said that kind of stood out to me, and I didn't see anybody pick up on it, is he almost tipped his hand that he blindly just kind of throws the ball up to
yeah,
the good
no,
receivers. Yeah.
no.
I
He
mean, it's
says this.
almost like I struggle without him because I don't trust him, and two, maybe I can't read the defense. If I see A.J. Brown in single coverage, I'm throwing the ball.
He
So I
said
kind of
that.
think he tipped his
I
hand a
was
little bit.
floored, and
Yeah.
that's why I said. By the way, all super chats will be read at the end of this. Thank you, Brian. Hey, I said I'm like this. So wait a minute. He admits in the first 4 weeks, because someone asked a question about, hey, has it been Kellen Moore's new offense? Has it been the personnel? He goes, well, when you have your normal guys in there and you see your normal faces, it's easier to have trust with those guys than say when you don't have, and it's a new offense. So I'm like this. Well, if all of his toys aren't in the offensive huddle and all the things aren't going right, Hurts doesn't execute the offense to a perfection no matter who's in there, and he doesn't do his